For over 30 years, a determined murderer became sexually aroused by cutting off victims' body parts and then keeping those body parts as trophies. The killer then used those same mutilated parts to sexually gratify himself. Let's find out together how these victims were killed, mutilated, and how he was eventually discovered. This channel is about lesser known serial killers. If you're interested, I upload new content every Tuesday and Thursday. Well, if you're ready, let's get started. 1971, in the country of Germany, a 19-year-old woman by the name of Gudrun Ebel worked as a caregiver to geriatric patients. It was said that she enjoyed her job and took much pride and cared for her patients and the facility grounds as well that she worked for. One evening, she either went on her own to the garden shed or she was lured there by an unknown person. The following day, she was found murdered inside that same garden shed. Detectives stated that they had never encountered a crime scene that was so sadistically brutal during their careers. So if you have weak stomachs, you might want to skip this part of the story for the next 15 seconds. Gudrun was found by an unnamed person, stabbed to death. The killer had took a sharp knife and completely sliced open her abdomen, removing all of her intestines. But that wasn't the end of it. The killer then methodically and precisely cut out and removed Gudrun's uterus. That uterus was not found at the crime scene. The authorities had no witnesses or leads. Just 2 months later, one evening, a 23-year-old woman by the name of Hatice Erkutgul, I hope I got that name right, was attending some sort of after-work party in the area of the last victim. If she only knew what was in store for her, I'm sure she would have never have attended this event. Where this party was being held just so happened to be at a location where multiple simultaneous events were taking place. People from different parties would crash each other's event in order to interact with others and to drink and eat for free. Witnesses at the time stated that they remembered seeing Hatice with someone, but they couldn't quite give a description because no one was really paying attention to her. But they did recall her being seen with another man for extended amounts of time. It started getting late, so afterwards the two of them most likely walked in the direction of a local lover's lane. It was well known to be an area frequented by romantic couples looking for solace. The following morning, her body was found extremely mutilated near this romantic spot. The authorities were able to determine that she was initially bludgeoned to death, but that wasn't the end of it. Afterwards, the killer took his time to remove her clothing. A large knife was then used to slice and dice her genitalia into pieces. It was so disgusting and baffling that the police psychologist was brought in to assist with the investigation. It was determined that the killer was sexually aroused by cutting off the victim's sex organs. No, wait, there's more. The murderer was extremely intelligent, and the mutilations would continue to become more sadistic as the killer's sexual gratification evolves. For no explained reason, the murders seem to have taken a hiatus for nearly 20 years. That was until June of 1991. Rosella Singh was a 36-year-old sex worker that worked the local bars and was addicted to heroin. Being a drug addict most likely caused her to fall prey to advanced HIV sickness. The day of her disappearance was noticed by the treatment center that she frequented, so the authorities were notified. 14 days later, a couple of mushroom pickers on their way to the local forest arrived at the parking lot next to the footpath entrance of the forest. On the extreme opposite end of the parking lot, they noticed something completely strange and out of place. Off in the distance was a large mound of rice, seemed to have been dumped there on the ground. As they approached the mound of rice, they noticed that something was hidden inside of it. After manipulating the rice for some time, the hidden object appeared to have been a partially decomposed human head sticking out. The authorities were notified. When the body was extracted, they were disgusted. First, the victim was determined to have been murdered by strangulation. Next, the killer took a blade and sliced open her abdomen, and the intestines were pulled out of the body. The killer then took the knife and cut, sliced, and diced her thighs up in a nonsensical manner. Just like the previous homicides, the killer left no clues for the police to follow. Over the next 13 years, 6 additional bodies of women from all walks of life were turning up, dumped all over the city, mutilated, and each was missing different body parts. The body parts taken were never the same. One of the victims was missing a right leg. Then the next victim would be missing the left arm. And then the one after would be missing the genitalia. One of the investigators stated to the local media that enough different body parts from individual bodies were taken that if they were all stitched together, it would form a human body. In 2014, a 67-year-old man by the name of Manfred Adolf Seal had recently died from throat cancer. After Manfred's death, his daughter and friend went to a storage facility that was rented by her father to see if there was any valuable property that she could claim. During the search, several bones from human remains were found, kept in containers allegedly as trophies. She immediately notified the authorities. Investigators determined that at least 5 of the victims were positively linked to Manfred being the killer. Police believed that because he was so meticulous, patient, and intelligent, that he was more than likely responsible for at least 4 additional unsolved murders and possibly more. Even though Manfred is deceased, the pending investigation still continues to link him to other unsolved homicides. If you enjoy more stories such as these, click on one of the suggested videos above. God bless and stay safe.